Hello, it's Deborah from Attic Lane, and I want to show you some tags that I've made. These are 2-layered tags, but the important thing is that I've found a way to use alcohol pens or alcohol markers like alcohol inks, and I've used them to make a couple of tags. This top layer is the alcohol ink or the alcohol pen. So this is a bit that I really want to show you today. I've got a tag that I've prepared with a stencil that has had texture paste, a white texture paste, put through the stencil to create a little bit of texture at the top of the tag, and then I've just dripped some watercolour inks, literally dripped it from the top just down, as you can see the little streaks there. And on these tags I've used a slightly different texture, a slightly different stencil on this one, and the same stencil as this one here, but just at the top. And it's just to give a little bit of extra interest if somebody wanted to I don't know, touch the tags. The inside are some words, and I'm going to show you how I did those as well. So this is using alcohol ink markers to get that effect. So I've got my tag prepared. I'm just going to put that to one side because I want to focus on how I did this bit with the pens. So I use Copic markers, and I've got a selection in blues and greens here, and I took one of my ordinary little foam dabby things that you use for mixing inks onto a page with, and instead of using the foam bit that usually sticks on the end here, I took some felt. This is just ordinary felt that I happen to have in my stash, and I cut off a little square and I stuck it on the end of my felt applicator thing, my applicator stick thing, you know what I mean, you can see it, and then I just cut around it so I had a circle, because when you're applying alcohol inks you need to use felt rather than foam. So there's my little felt marker already, and I'm going to get a little square of paper so I can show you the effect that you get just with these. I've got a little sheet of card, and I've protected my mat below with a couple of sheets of waste paper. So the way I'm going to use these is dab the colours onto the foam pad, and because this has got a sort of a blunt bullet end, I'm using that in preference to the brush end. I'm going to pretty much fill my felt pad. So there we are. If I start dabbing on my card, you can see that that lovely effect, this is one of the things I've always liked about alcohol inks, is it makes it so quick and easy to create a multicoloured background, and I like that, and I'm amazed that I hadn't thought about using alcohol ink marker pens before. But if you have any of the brands of alcohol markers or alcohol pens, give this a try and see what effects you can get, because I think that's lovely, and I can easily use that as a background on a card or a tag or a little note. That's great. It's really pretty, and if you want to add more, just add a few more colours to your felt pad and keep dabbing away at it. They don't dry out too quickly. You do get time to do something. Well, time to do that, time to cover that. And then if you had some silver and you dotted that around, you'd have a lovely winter effect background. So that's the first thing that I wanted to show you. The second thing that I wanted to show you is what you could do if you did happen to have alcohol blending solution. Now this is the only one I have. I don't know if there are other non-branded ones that will do the same job, but I thought, well, if that's a blending solution, what would happen if I refreshed the colours on my felt pad by adding a little bit of this? And that's what happened. You get a fabulous, splotchy effect. And again, that's great for backgrounds, or if you wanted something, if I'd chosen maybe some lilacs and some oranges and reds and some summery colours, then that would have made a nice floral type of background. If you do have a blending solution, this is a nice way to make sure that you use up all of the inks on your felt pad. I'm using these colours just because these happen to be my favourite colours. So it's a little bit more smudgy. This is tight, the markings are tight, they don't spread out. This makes everything a little bit more smudgy, but that's a nice effect. And I'll just reserve my little felt pad for another day. I might want to use those colours again, or similar colours again, so I'll just put that to one side. The next thing I wanted to show you was using these same colours again, is what you could do with the Laminator. It's a while since I've used the Laminator, but I thought it was time to get it going again. This is a small laminating sheet. It's an A6 size, and I've had some fun with this. If you open this out and you work on the inside, and you do exactly the same again, so I'm going to apply my inks from my pens, and then I'm going to dab onto my laminating pouch, on the inside I should say, I do like that effect. I think that's really similar to using alcohol inks. I mean the ones from the squeezy bottles rather than the pens. So when I say alcohol inks, I'm referring to these bottles. So this is normally what you would have to buy in order to make this effect. But if you've got alcohol pens, you don't need this bit. And it's also a great way to get the maximum use out of alcohol pens, other than using them for colouring. The next thing I want to show you was I write with a fountain pen, and I got myself some card, and for these two tags I just wrote out some words with my pen and then cut the words down. So let's do that. Let's do Winter Beckons again. I chose that little phrase because I thought it worked really nicely with the colours, and it felt a bit wintry. And because I've used a fountain pen, I just need to make sure I've blotted that so that it won't spread out when I run it through the laminator. Those are my words, so I cut those down. The cutting doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. It's quite nice if it's a little bit squint. I'm just going to do words on one side this time. Last time I did my words on both sides. I did some words here and some words here. Don't want it to be that squint. And now off camera I'm going to have to go and run this through my laminator. But you do this the same as you would any lamination that you were doing. Close your little folder. I've just found there's a bit of something in there. There we go. Close your little folder and run it through the laminator. But if you want to make it extra special, you can also use confetti. This is Nuvo Aqua Flakes Pure Sheen Confetti, and it's lovely blue shimmery sparkly things. Oh, there we go. I don't need to pour them out. They've leapt onto the laminating page. I don't want them on my words, so I'll make sure there's none on my words. Then I can close my little pouch, and I'm going to take that off camera and run it through my laminator. This is it once it's been run through the laminator, and I'm going to hold it onto this white background so you can see. Try not to dazzle you too much with the sheen under the lights, but it's captured the words. It's got those little inclusions just in the top there, and if I go back to the tag that I showed you earlier on that I'd prepared with a little bit of texture on it and a little bit of watercolour, if I layer that over there, you can see how nicely the colours complement each other, and just what a different tag that is. It's got lots of dimension and it's got lots of interest. So all I need to do now is cut that down. So I'm going to use my background tag, the one that I've already prepared, as a template, and I'm going to cut around that. I'm just going to cut around it very roughly. I may well neaten it up later, but it's to show you the easy way to do things. We then also have a side of laminating pouch that's got that lovely blue on it left over, and you can use that to make another tag. That's my basic tag. That's the tag cut down. I'm going to use my crocodile to pop a hole in the top. I'm going to use the widest hole that's available on the crocodile. I have some ribbons. I have some silvery ribbons in a bag as well. So to finish the tag off, I'm just going to pop these through the hole in the top and make a tie. And that tag is finished. It's got a nice bit of ribbon and zhuzh on the top. It's got lots of texture underneath, and it's got some interesting effects with the captured pieces and the alcohol ink within the laminating pouch, as well as little words, little sentiment. And we've got a piece left over to make another tag if we want, and we can add words on top of that. They don't need to be included within the pouch, you can just glue them onto the top. If you prefer to work just with the card pieces that we made, cut down a tag. Now this is a tag template that I made and showed you how to make as part of my junk journal course, which finished recently, and all you do is position your tag over where you want your tag shape to be and draw around it and cut it out. I know what size the tag is because I've included the measurements on the inside, and I've written the measurements onto a piece of paper, and then I've just laminated this, so it makes it nice and robust to draw a pencil line around or a pen line around. It means that you're not constantly looking for a template, you've got one ready, and you don't also have to spend too much time using your die cutting machine. Sometimes it's quicker, if it's just for one or two, to cut them out by hand rather than run them through your machines. I'm going to use the hole that I've punched in the top to mark a pencil line to show me where I want to cut the little hole using my crocodile. I want to add some interest in the form of some stamped words. This is a word stamp, a writing stamp that I use an awful lot. It's by Impression Obsession and it's L9724. It doesn't have a name, just a code, but it's very, very useful. And I'm using VersaFine's Smoky Grey archival ink because that will give me a nice subtle effect on my tag. I don't want the writing to dominate, I just want it to fill in a little background. Like that. Nice and soft. And when I was rittling around for something that would be nice to go on this tag, I found some embellishments of flowers that are so old I don't even remember where I got them from, but they are the perfect colours for my little tag. I think I'm going to position that there. The other thing that I've done is whenever I want to add a sentiment but I don't really have anything that's appropriate in the form of a stamp, like I can just ink up and stamp onto a tag, I print off words and little sentiments and things that I may like to use. So I've got one here, it says The Song of the Meadow, and I'm going to cut that out. I've cut my words down and I want to let them stand out on the tag. So I'm going to use my ink pad again, the same one that I used to add the word stamp to the background. I'm going to ink up around the edges. I'm going to let it dry so I don't smudge it. I like the 3-in-1 glue because it's a wet glue and it allows me to position something if I'm not exactly sure where I want it to go. First time it gives me enough time to wiggle about with the design before the glue dries, but then when it does dry, it really does dry. That's it. It isn't going to go anywhere. Very, very reliable. I'm going to dive into my little bag of ribbons and see what I can find that matches this sort of grey-blue theme. There we go. That's that tab finished. And I'm going to bring back in the first 2 or 3. And that is all to show you how you can use alcohol markers, alcohol pens, instead of needing to go out and buy the bottles of alcohol inks. I mean, I love these. I use these quite a lot. I do like them, and they're great fun to play with. You get some beautiful, beautiful effects. But if you don't have exactly the colours that you want for a particular project, I wanted to show you that there is an alternative if you use your alcohol pens. I hope that was helpful and that we will see each other again soon, and in the meantime, take care.